We met on a flight to Boston. She sat next to me, curled up in a beige coat, reading a book she never finished because we talked the entire way. Her name was Ivy. She had this way of speaking that made the world feel slower, more intimate. By the time we landed, I already knew I'd see her again. And I did. Every weekend for the next month, we met halfway between our cities. Trains, hotels, lazy breakfasts, and long nights filled with confessions that came too easily. It felt impossible that someone could just appear like that and feel so familiar, like she'd been written into my life long before I boarded that plane. At 6 months, I proposed. Everyone said it was too fast. That love needs time. But when you're inside it, when it burns through your ribs like Ivy did, you don't wait. You dive. The wedding was small, intimate. Her mother cried. My sister pulled me aside and asked, "Are you sure?" I laughed. I was more than sure. I was absolutely convinced that I had found the kind of love people die searching for. But I was wrong. I didn't notice it at first. The way she avoided certain topics. The way she changed the subject whenever I asked about her past. She said it was painful and that she wanted to focus on the present. And I believed her. I wanted to be the man who made her forget the people who hurt her. But the truth wasn't that she was hurt. It was that she was hiding something. And I didn't find out until I saw the texts. I wasn't snooping. I was trying to set up her new laptop. She'd asked me to. And her iMessages were still syncing from her iCloud. They started popping up like ghosts from another life. The name was Elle. At first, I thought it was a friend. The tone was casual, but too casual. There were emojis she never used with me, inside jokes. And then I saw a message that said, "Last night shouldn't have happened, but I don't regret it." It hit like a sledgehammer. I scrolled up, dozens of messages, weeks back, maybe more. The dates overlapped with the first month of our marriage. I couldn't breathe. My hands went numb. I closed the laptop and sat on the floor, staring at the screen like it might blink and tell me it was all some mistake. That it wasn't real. That I'd misread something. But I didn't. I knew what I saw. And I knew who Elle was. Liam. Her ex-fiancé. The one she said broke her heart years ago. The one she said she'd never speak to again. I waited 3 days before saying anything. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how. I kept looking at her, wondering what version of her I was seeing. The one who held my hand in the morning? Or the one who sent kisses to another man behind my back? I played scenes in my head over and over. Imagined confronting her. Imagined her lying. Imagined her crying. And in some versions, I forgave her. In others, I walked away without a word. But nothing prepared me for the actual conversation. It was late. She was brushing her hair. I sat on the bed and simply asked, "Are you still talking to Liam?" She froze. Then she turned, slowly, like someone stepping into fire barefoot. "Why are you asking me that?" she said. I held her gaze. "Because I saw the messages." And just like that, the mask slipped. She didn't cry. She didn't deny it. She just said, "I'm sorry." And somehow, that made it worse. She told me they had reconnected by accident, that he had reached out, that it started as closure, that she didn't know why she kept replying, that it just happened. I sat there, listening to every excuse dressed as regret. What hurt most wasn't the cheating. It wasn't even the lies. It was realizing that I had built a life on borrowed time. She said she still loved me. She said she never stopped. I asked her if she loved him too. She didn't answer. That silence was louder than any confession. I told her I needed space. She packed a bag, left to stay with a friend, said she would give me time. And as soon as the door shut behind her, I fell apart. Not dramatically. Not in rage. Just quietly. like a structure collapsing from within. The next few days were a blur. I worked. I ate. I answered texts with lies. Yeah, we're good. I wasn't ready to tell anyone that my brand new marriage had already cracked. She sent me messages, long ones, guilt, apologies, memories, promises. She asked if we could talk. I said not yet. I didn't know what I wanted. Some days I missed her so much it hurt to breathe. Others, I wanted to erase her from every photo, every drawer, every part of my skin she once kissed. I opened our wedding album once, just for a moment. I stared at her smile in those pictures, wondered if she already knew then, if she was already slipping away. I kept thinking, if she was going to hurt me anyway. Why did she say yes? We finally met in a park, neutral ground, midday sun. People around us who had no idea a marriage was about to bleed on a bench between them. She looked tired. Makeup couldn't hide the weight under her eyes, but she smiled, and it shattered me a little more. "I miss you," she said. I didn't answer. "I never stopped loving you." I stayed quiet. She reached for my hand. I let her. And then she told me the truth. They had slept together twice, once before the wedding, once after. The rest was emotional, messages, phone calls, a shared language from a relationship she never fully let die. She said she felt guilty every day, that she kept hoping it would fade, that I would erase him without knowing. But the truth is, she had never chosen me completely. And now, I had to choose what to do with what was left. I told her I needed time, but in truth, I already knew. Something had shifted. There was love still. Yes, but it was cracked, contaminated. I couldn't look at her the same. Her touch no longer meant comfort. Her voice no longer sounded like home. I went home alone that day, stared at the ceiling all night. In the morning, I started packing. Not her things. Mine. Because I realized something that hurt more than anything else. I couldn't hate her. But I also couldn't forgive her. Not because of the act, but because of the choice. She chose him, even when she said yes to me. And maybe she came back. Maybe she meant her apologies. But some truths, once spoken, echo too loudly to ignore. I moved in with my brother for a while, told him only the basics. He didn't ask for more. I think he knew I was holding myself together with string and silence. Nights were the hardest. I'd lie awake, trying not to think about her laugh echoing through the kitchen, or the way she used to hum when she brushed her teeth. Everything reminded me of her, of us, of the version of our life I thought we had. And then, she stopped texting. Not out of cruelty, but maybe out of mercy. And that was when the grief hit. It came in waves, sharp, drowning, cruel. Not just for her, but for the man I used to be with. Her. The man who believed in forever. And now I was someone else. Someone quieter. Someone lonelier. Someone rebuilding. Months passed. Seasons shifted. I started sleeping through the night again. I went back to the gym. I deleted our wedding photos from my phone. Not out of spite, but survival. And one morning, I woke up and didn't think of her first. That was the turning point. I began writing again. Something I hadn't done in years. I poured my thoughts into pages no one would read, just to get them out, to let the rot drain. And then I met someone, at a bookstore. Her name was Mira. And no, it wasn't fireworks. It wasn't Ivy. It wasn't anything loud. It was kind, gentle, safe. The kind of love that asks nothing of you but honesty. And for the first time in what felt like years, I gave it. Mira never asked about my past. Not in the way others had. Not out of curiosity or insecurity. She just listened when I offered pieces, never pressed for more. And that silence, that patience, healed something in me. We went slow. Dinners, walks, late-night calls that didn't feel like tests. I found myself smiling again, laughing. And not because I was pretending to be okay, because I was. One evening, months into knowing her, she looked at me and said, "You don't flinch anymore when I say your name." I hadn't noticed, but she was right. And maybe that's what love is, not the whirlwind, not the chaos, but the stillness that comes after, the peace, the home you build when you've already been broken, and choose to love anyway. A year later, Ivy called. I almost didn't answer. My thumb hovered over the screen, heart suddenly pounding with a ghost of old pain. But curiosity won. Her voice was the same, soft, careful, like she was walking across ice. She said she was engaged. To Liam. I didn't know what to say. She didn't call to gloat or apologize again. She said she just wanted me to know that she was happy. And she hoped I was too. I told her I was. And this time, it wasn't a lie. When I hung up, I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't ache. I just stood there for a moment, then went back to making dinner with Mira. That call didn't reopen a wound. It sealed it. That night, I told Mira everything. The whole story, from the first message I saw on Ivy's laptop to the last call. She listened without interrupting, held my hand through every pause. And when I was done, she kissed my knuckles and said, "Thank you for not letting that break you." I hadn't realized it until then, but I hadn't let it break me. I let it shape me, bend me, tear things out that didn't belong. But I came out the other side more honest, more open, more human. And maybe that's what heartbreak does when you let it. It doesn't just destroy, it reveals. It shows you what parts of yourself are worth saving, and what parts you'll never compromise again. Months passed again. Mira and I moved in together. It wasn't dramatic, no grand speeches, no teary boxes, just 2 toothbrushes side by side, 2 lives softly folding into each other. She never asked for promises, but I made them anyway. I promised to never lie, to never leave words unsaid, to love her without needing her to fix my past, and she gave me the same in return. Our love wasn't born out of fireworks. It was the quiet after the storm, the kind of love that grows roots before it reaches the sky. And that was enough, more than enough. Sometimes I still think of Ivy, not with bitterness, not with longing, just with gratitude. Because if she hadn't broken my heart, I never would have learned how to protect it. If she hadn't left, I wouldn't have found someone who truly stayed. And if I hadn't walked away when it hurt most, I wouldn't be the man I am now. Healing didn't come from time. It came from truth, from allowing myself to grieve, from choosing love again, not because I needed it, but because I wanted to give it. This isn't a story about betrayal. It's a story about becoming. And sometimes, the most painful endings are just beginnings in disguise.